Hey everybody, we are teaching SculptrVR. And today's SculptrVR, we are looking specifically at a very useful tool called the Cone Paint tool. So this is again on row 4, the cone row, the center paint cone. Normally it looks like a slightly checkerboard cone, and its alternate version, it's a transparent-ish cone, kind of hard to see on the screen there. So this behaves very similar to the sphere paintbrush, but the big advantage is its shape. That pointed cone gives us a lot of control for when we're painting. So if I just have a flat surface, that paint, now with the paintbrush, we're not going to be creating, we're not going to be carving. We're just changing the color and material of whatever is already there. So I'm going to start with a nice beigeish color and just grab my purple so you can see how the fine point really gives you some nice control for how you want this to work. Let's go in close. Get a little closer here, please. So with this fine point, we can really go in and be careful about our line. So on this smaller size, I can now write messages. Keep our logo going here. And you can use just the point to actually do graffiti, carve details, well, not carve, but draw details, get those pieces in place, so at any size, you can see how it reads nice and controlled, nice and sharp. We also have the broad, flat edge. So if we have terrain, things like that, we can sweep in a larger area and really color in a whole zone at once. Now the main cone paint tool will have that very sharp edge, so you can see it's a sharply defined between the change of color. If we change the material, so I'm actually going to go for that glossy metal material as well. Same effect. The exact impression of your paintbrush changes the material as much as it changes the color itself. You could even choose the similar color and just change material for a different effect. So I could have a large metallic area. Now I go in with non-metallic. And here, here's where I start changing the appearance. It's much more subtle, so you can see it's the same color. There we go. Now you can see the reflection, but it's changing a little bit in the way the visitor sees it. At certain angles, it can hide in the gloss because it itself isn't glossy. But it's still got that sharp edge, and if we do change color as well, it's going to maintain that sharp division. The other flavor of our cone tool, so if I switch mods with your upper of your 2 thumb buttons, now you can see it's sort of a transparent. This version is called blend. So I'm going to use the same material, just change the color. And now instead of a sharp outline, as I move through it, you can see there's only a very subtle change. And if I start going through it more and more and more, back over the same area again and again, you can see how that's what intensifies, that's what blends the color. So this way I can do much more subtle variations, much more subtle changes. I still have a great deal of control in the exact placement using the tip of the cone or the base of the cone. But that's going to allow much more subtle color changes. Bear in mind, if you do change material, so if I go for the metal type, you cannot blend material, but it does blend color. So if I go in up here, you can see how it immediately changes to the glossy metal surface. But the color doesn't change immediately. If I now start going over this glossy metal surface over and over, now it takes on the pink color. So it's still blending the color, but any material changes does need to be a complete change of material. That's just how the surface types are going to work. So your different sizes give you control, the different points of your brush. Let's go back so you can see it. The different points of the brush. You can see how the brush will try to mimic both the color and the material you've chosen, just so you can keep track of what you're doing from moment to moment. But this allows us to take an area and change the color, change the patterning, without changing the actual shape, the actual carving and creation that's there. And now I've got this material as my whole terrain. So the cone paint tool behaves just like the other paint tools, but its shape gives you a lot more control for how things are going to behave. Now you can see this is the shape we've got to work with. It is layer specific, so you do need to specify which layers you're working on, but it will take any color or material. I hope this has been helpful. I hope this gives you some ideas on how you can create and play with your own pieces. I'm going to use this tool to try to get a nice surface here, and we're going to write in our usual message. And I've got the cone tool, so I've got a lot of control on how my paint change hits that wall. So let's get this message the rest of the way here. Thanks for joining us. Let us know in the comments if you have any questions or if there are any requests you'd like to make as far as tools we're explaining, art styles. I can disappear into the wall on this one. Art styles we choose, that type of stuff. Feel free to subscribe. We'll hope you have a lot of fun in SculptrVR. See you next time, everybody. Whoosh.